Good afternoon. It's so good to see you here today. I am Will Robinson. I'm one of the pastors here at First Presbyterian Church. I'm saying that because I know we have some who are visiting here with us. I was one of the members of this elite group that was in Narobi, Kenya in August. I'm very grateful to be part of it and just wanted to say welcome. So glad to have you here. What a special event we have for you, an opportunity to hear a little more about our trip, to have an update on the program and on your students, our students, and many of you I know are sponsors in this program, and then just to say a little bit about the impact, how we were affected by that. You've heard a little bit from me in the sermon. These others haven't had an opportunity to do that. They haven't been on the stage, so to speak, so they'll have an opportunity to say a little bit as well. The slideshow, of course, will put pictures with some of that experience that we were able to have. But I want to just basically open us with a word of prayer. So let us join our hearts in prayer. Gracious God, we do thank you so much for the opportunity that those of us who went to Narobi, Kenya had to be able to meet students, to meet those at the presbytery, our partners in this ministry. So grateful for the more than 300 students that have been served in this program. So grateful for those who are here today, who sponsor those students, or who have thought about sponsoring those students, or just wanted to hear about our experience in Narobi and about this program. So be with us in this time, Lord God. Guide us by your Spirit as you have. And thank you, Lord God, for everything we have and that we are able to do with these students and with these partners as part of this special program. We pray this in your Son's most holy name. And all of God's people said, Amen.
Hello all. I'm Jack Alderman. I was also part of the group of 7 that went to Kenya the first couple weeks in August. And I'd like to introduce the whole team here. Does anyone know Reverend Will Robinson? Next to him is Kathy Willard. Next to her is Luana Graves Sellers. And next to her is Betsy Baker, as far from her husband as she can get. I don't know what's going on there. And Mark Baker over here, who's going to be narrating our slideshow. So thank you all very much for being here. The 7th member of our group is Mark Brown. We had 2 Mark B's on this trip, which was very confusing, Mark Baker and Mark Brown. But Mark Baker is out west on a trip at this point, so he was the only one not available to be with us today. The other missing person today is my wife, Mary Stewart Alderman, who is babysitting in Charlotte. I talked to her on the way over here today, and she was in the middle of a game of intense gin rummy with our 10-year-old granddaughter, and she was losing. So we didn't talk for long. But she has been obviously very instrumental to this program over the last decade plus, and so she sends her greetings as well. Our purposes today are first to report on the Kenya trip, and also to familiarize you with the Bahati Scholars program and our partnership with the Narobi Central Presbytery in Kenya. And lastly, to increase awareness for First Presbyterian Church outreach ministries in general. And let me note, first of all, to give you some relief, that this will not be a solicitation for new Bahati sponsors or commitments for next year's sponsorships. That will occur after the first of the year. So we're here today to just inform you about the trip and about the Bahati program, and hope that you'll come back in January to hear more about being sponsors if you're not already. I want to talk just a few moments about the origins of the program and the evolution of the Bahati Scholars program over a couple decades. It's hard to believe it's been that long at this point. But first, a little bit about Kenya history. Most of us have very ancient relatives in Kenya. The origins of mankind are in the Rift Valley in Kenya. And we read these days that we all share a bit of that DNA. Everyone on earth today is part of that family tree. By about 1900, the Scottish missionaries had started to come to Kenya. So our Presbyterian Church in the USA and the Presbyterian Church in East Africa share that DNA. We both started with Scotland. In the 1960s, Kenya achieved independence from Great Britain. It had been a colony for about a century of Great Britain. That wasn't going so well by the 1960s. There had been a lot of conflict in the 50s with the Mau Mau Rebellion, and Britain finally granted independence to Kenya in 1963. It became a democracy. It's been one of the more stable democracies in the continent of Africa. More than 50 countries are in the continent of Africa. Kenya is one of the safer and more democratic countries there. Its location in East Africa is on the Indian Ocean. To the northeast is Somalia. To the direct north is South Sudan. To the west is Uganda and Lake Victoria. To the south is Tanzania, or as they say in Narobi, Tanzania. We're not sure which way to call it. But that's where we've gone for more than 20 years now, because of the partnership we have in Kenya with some great people. We're part of an ongoing partnership that we have with the Presbyterian Church in East Africa. We've got a very positive history and relationship with the Bahati Martyrs Church there, which is where it all started. Jane Gatubia from that church came here in 2003 to visit friends that had met her in Nairobi many years before. And we sent a contingent there 2 years later that I was part of in 2005 to look at what sort of mission relationships we could strike up with those folks. They've had folks visit here as well several times. Sometimes it's very difficult for them to get visas to come here, but we've had them here a number of times. We've learned a lot from them about joyful worship and joyful living. Our teams have visited Nairobi, I think 6 or 7 times now, and more than 50 individuals from this church have set foot in Nairobi as part of those travels. So a lot of people are very aware of life in Nairobi as well as life here. After our second visit in 2007, we at First Presbyterian agreed to provide support for education of 60 street boys that the government had rounded up and thrown into a warehouse near Bahati Martyrs Church. And that's where we started. There was a real effort to get those boys back in school. School is provided with government funds only through 8th grade. More about that later. That's going to change shortly. So our first sponsorships put those boys in high school that were of the high school age. They are now known, those orphan kids, as the Bahati Scholars. But girls have been brought into the program over the years as well, and about half the students this year are boys and half are girls, out of 67 students. We had a crisis in 2011. The hand of God intervened and I believe saved the program both from this side of the ocean and the other side. Jane Gatubia, the founder of the program over there, decided she wanted to start an orphanage several hours outside Nairobi. And she did, and nobody else in that Bahati Martyrs Church knew how to pick up that program and continue it. So the Nairobi Central Presbytery stepped in and said they would do it. And they hired Susan Ngari to be the social worker and administrator for that program, which was probably the best single step that we've ever taken. On this side of the ocean, there was a crisis as well. We had started the program with a lot of energy and excitement. Nobody knew how to sustain it. Enter an angel, Mary Stewart Alderman. I told her I'd say that. Yeah, with witnesses, yes. And she really brought the sustainability and the credibility and the administrative capability to the program that it needed. So those two folks showing up and taking charge, Mary Stewart Alderman and Susan Ngari, really changed the face of the program and have gotten us through the last dozen years, a little bit stronger every year, I think. So the Narobi Central Presbytery now administers the program. They are good, competent people. We trust them a lot. We have a written covenant of understanding with them. And we have a relationship in place that gives us confidence in the Nairobi-based decisions that are made over there and the spending that is done. We know the students. We know their names. We've met them in person. They have, like kids here, they have a wide range of personalities and capabilities. But in the last several years, we have been able to get students with better scores, test scores, entering high school, and that allows them to get into better schools. So the results of the program continue to improve because of that. Our annual cost for the program is about $60,000, or about $800 per student. That covers tuition, room and board, books, travel, uniforms, and also a small piece of Susan Ngari's salary, without which we really couldn't continue the program at all, probably. More than 300 students have now been given a chance through the Bahati Scholars program, and there are a lot of very shining success stories. Some of you have been sponsors of folks over there that have been amazing in school and now in their success out of school. And of course, this is all not being funded with First Presbyterian Church operating budget dollars. People are stepping up to make individual commitments to the program. And this year we have more than 90 individual sponsors, some full sponsors, some partial sponsors, sharing with others. So that brings us up to today. We found the program in very good condition when we got over there this time. We were excited to see that. And with that, I will turn it over to Mark Baker, who has a great slideshow to show us what happened while we were there.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Will, and thank you all for giving us an opportunity to share some of these images with you. What an inspirational trip it was for all of us. This is the mission team. We were going to call us intrepid or fearless travelers until we saw the crocodiles in the Masai Mara River, and we decided we would go as spirited travelers or travel buddies, and that's who we really are. What a great team. On the bottom right is Mark Brown, then immediately to the right is Jack Alderman, of course, Kathy Willard, and then Betsy Baker, Pastor Will, and Luana Graves Sellers, and myself. We truly had a wonderful and transformative visit in Kenya, and being a part of the sponsorship of these children for all of the years, and then seeing them firsthand really did change us all spiritually. So after 36 hours of travel, we landed in Nairobi. It took us 2 hours to get through customs. It was about 11 o'clock, and our host, who were just as wonderful as they could ever be, picked us up, met us there at the airport, and shuttled us over to the Malele House. This is a accommodation center that's owned and operated by the Presbytery. And it's nice. It was a very nice accommodation for us. I wouldn't say it was, 4-star by any stretch of the imagination, but still a very nice accommodation. 7:30 in the next morning, this was Saturday morning, we were picked up and shuttled out for our very busy first day in Nairobi. We started at the Presbytery Center. We had many visits back at the Presbytery Center with our host sponsors, and and pastors there. Every time we went, we'd have tea, whether it was just before lunch or not. It didn't matter. We'd have tea and refreshments, which was very nice. Our first stop was at the Kaoli Girls Center, and what an inspiration this was to see these young ladies. One of the first things we did was talk to the center director, and we did this in each of the centers. Will, I don't know if you have any comments. This was Isaiah, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and each of the center directors would give us a good overview of how the center is operated. These are the dorm rooms for the girls. Each girl gets a bunk bed and a locker, and they're very large open rooms, very pleasant, very clean, and these are girls who, in many cases, are brought in off the street. So this is a very high quality housing accommodation for them. This is Jack and Will speaking to the group. Jack, any comments about that conversation? And it was fun to be able to have those exchanges.
These are great kids. In this center, it's all girls, all orphans. There's another center that we'll see in a minute that's all boys, all orphans. Not all of them are in our program. Some are younger than the age for high school. Some are already in other schools, but we have a number of kids from each boys and girls center. This is Kaoli Center for the girls. And they run a very nice program. The girls are safe there. And when they get to high school age, most of them score well enough to get into the high schools. We might add that when the kids are here, they are well cared for by Isaiah. You see him there on the left and his assistant next to him. When they are off to school, they're at boarding schools, so they are gone for a couple months at a time and then back between semesters. When we were there, and we might see in the next slide, Mark, we came across two girls that we're not quite there yet, that had just been orphaned, just had come into the center. And were being acclimated into the Kaoli Girls Center, but they had to drop out of school because their parents had passed away recently, I think in a car accident, and they needed funding. We agreed while we were there to add these two girls to our list, and we've already found sponsors for them.
If you look at some of the girls, this is Susan and Gary on the right there, who is the social worker and lady who has just been a godsend to the program. And look at these kids. I mean, the smiles, the faces, they're just very happy. You can tell they're being very well provided for. And then Will had an opportunity to speak with the young lady who he's sponsoring.
Some of you possibly saw or were here the first Sunday I was back, and I preached, and I showed this picture on the right of me and Grace Wamuyu. And Grace is fourth year, so that she's a senior, and we have been sponsoring her. My family and I have been sponsoring Grace now for 4 years. So it was my first time that I obviously was able to see her, and at first she was so much more shy, as many of them were. And then, so I just kind of spoke to her, and of course they want to practice their English, so they like you to speak to them in English. And then the next thing I know, I was kind of giving her a hug there, but the next thing I know, she kind of walked up to me and gave me a big hug, as we were kind of walking through that courtyard area that you saw a minute ago. And just to add briefly, the center here houses about 30, I think, girls now, but I think their capacity is more like 50, I think is what Isaiah, the director, said to us. So they're able to accept more as the need, as there's more need to serve more girls.
Yeah, thank you, Will. So just an incredible opportunity. You can see the leadership team there on the bottom right. The gentleman with the blue sports coat was Reverend George. He's the Presbytery moderator, and so he was present at almost every one of our stops. The leadership really took our visit to heart and really spent a lot of time with us personally and helped shepherd us through and showed us a lot of great things. Mark Brown sat down on one of the small walls there and was immediately surrounded by the kids asking, "What's it like to live in America? How is your skin really white?" And then when Betsy was there, one of the kids was tugging on her hair saying, "Is your hair real?" Right? How does it... Yeah, and so the young lady there with the blue dress, Betsy shaking her hands, one of the kids in the program.
Nobody asked about my
Yeah, and they have an IT lab, a computer lab, and we love this little sort of poster here, which encouraged the girls to study. If you look at the bottom, it says, "I code like a girl, try to keep up." And that's one of the mathematicians from the Nassau program, which is an inspiration program. Here you can see our team just, beaming with excitement to see. And some of the girls, now many of these girls are coming right off the street. And so people ask us, what are the streets like? But look at their faces. They're just happy people. They really are. And so these are the streets. And you can see on the bottom left, that's a dirt road where people are coming in out of. It's really tough conditions. And on the top right, those are really cattle. And so they're grazing cattle and sheep in the middle of the street, which is amazing. And the bottom right, those are stones, and they're dropped in the street, large stones. And then the workers there break the stones up manually and then spread them. So this is just a short video to show you what it's like on a Narobi street.
Mark, if I could just jump in, one of the things that Mark was just talking about, the children and the fact that they may have been homeless or something, but a lot of the children were taken advantage of by their parents and forced to beg on the street or, solicit and things like that. So we're really talking about children that have significant disadvantages in their lives, and this program is something that really enhances their lives and gives them a better opportunity.
Really a great and inspirational program. So many times during the visit, we came back to the Presbyterian Church, which is here. Very nice facility. Here's Will preaching. This was Brigade Week and Brigade Sunday. And here is, gosh, how many children? 200 or 300 children that were part of that program. It was Brigade Sunday, and a lot of the children have the little brigade hats. The brigade program is sort of a combination between ROTC and Scouts, but it's Christian-based and very much a part of the church. Will was asked on many occasions to spontaneously speak or even give a sermon, and Luana on the bottom right, every time we turn around, they'd say, "We heard somebody in your group sing," and so Luana would be, "I come up and sing," so she would... Great job. And this was the day we were there was the regional choir day. And if you look in the middle of that picture, you might see somebody you recognize. That's Luana in the back having fun with this group of choir girls. And then we were asked to participate. So who says white men can't dance, right? So this is Brigade Sunday, and you can see they really take this program very seriously. It's a great way to engage the youth. And Will, again, giving a message to the youth. The pastors actually walk down and inspect the youth. I mean, they take this program very seriously. And the youth, you can see on the top left there, they're actually selecting a scripture reading for the service, and they actually lead the service in various points, I think. Didn't they, Will? Yeah, so it was really a great way to engage. Also, the Kenyans are very proud of their heritage, and they wanted to make sure that we went to the cultural center in Kenya, which is called Bomas of Kenya. It was a great opportunity for us to sort of really learn more about the culture and learn more about how people out in the grasslands lived. One of the interesting things here, you'll see the little slide on the right, it actually says first wife. Well, they had a second wife and a third wife too. These guys lived pretty good, you know. So they, throughout though, there were baboons that were just roaming around everywhere. Now these creatures they're 3 feet tall, they're pretty aggressive, they're big. And so here we are having refreshments in the middle of the afternoon. We had the van tailgate popped up, and Will placed his Fanta there, and you can see the young girl in red, which is Susan Angari's daughter, and she had a bag of popcorn, and before you know it, this baboon came up and took her popcorn and took the Fanta, and everybody screamed, and then he just sat down and ate the popcorn and was drinking the Fanta. So there he was, middle of the parking lot. So then we're on to the Makadara Boys Center, and this was a great opportunity for us to have several work projects which our mission team engaged in. So that was David, the center director, telling us about the center. The boys have blue, not the pink dormitory, obviously, and they each have foot lockers. This is some shots of the courtyard inside the boys' center. All of these centers are secured behind very secured gates and walls. So they're very secure properties. This is their sort of theme, their home of heroes. And if you look at this slide and the blue cabinet in the back and the small group of boys around that little TV below it is about a 12-inch CRT TV. That's what they had. So we took the blue cabinet down, and we'll show you in a minute, we actually bought a 65-inch TV and donated it and installed it, which was huge. So this is David, and David is he's an incredible man. He was telling me that, and he called all of the youngest boys up here. He said if they take their boys to the hospital and they have prescription, he has to pay for that out of his salary. It's really phenomenal. So there you can see, this was the barber shop. The older boys are engaged in taking care of the younger boys. So you can see here the barber shop, and then Will on the top and Betsy on the bottom right are stirring a big cauldron of, I think it was beans, right? And a wood-burning stove. So that's how they prepared their large meals. And again, they had a computer lab and a library. Very good program. So here's Mark Brown pointing to where we're going to install the big TV. There's the TV. Yeah, that was a big deal. And then we had a hard time getting them to take the plastic off the TV. They did not want to do that. And then what did they do with the plastic, Betsy?
They folded it up and took it to the library. They were going to cover books with it. It was kind of sticky on one side.
They don't throw anything away. But they did not want to take that plastic off the TV. They said, no, it'll protect the TV. So here they are. That's the same room with this being a huge theater room for them. And they're watching basketball. You notice there's a little cable up there. So I was telling David, I said, you really need to hook this smart TV up to the internet. And he kept hesitating. I was like, why not? You know, come to find out, the internet is the gateway to all kinds of trouble for these kids. And they didn't want this TV. So the next project was to paint this room. This was one of their large upstairs dorm rooms, which was not finished. So we our group pledged to buy the paint and help them paint it. And I was thinking, gosh, this is going to be a little tough in there painting this room. Well, come to find out, the boys jumped in, and we were like, they just took over. And they were proud of this, you know, to be able to do it. And there they are reglazing the windows. And again, this is the room almost done. And then we had to clean it. Well, they did. Really.
Nobody told them to do that. They just did it.
Yeah, the boys just jumped in there, did it. So this was the pastor, Will. Yeah, go ahead, Jack. Reverend George.
This is Reverend George, the moderator of the presbytery. They asked him to dedicate the TV in the painted room, and he said, I can't do it because I don't have my vestments with me. So he got in his car, rode home, got his vestments, came back, and dedicated the TV.
They really took this very seriously. The painting, the TV, they prayed over all of that. So then they had this celebration, and it's called a celebration of bread, right, Kathy, is it?
So in Kenya, like our kids would get a candy bar, but in Kenya, the big treat is to get a loaf of bread and a bottle of soda. So they had their Fanta soda, and they had their loaves of bread, and that was their snack. So it's very enlightening to watch that happen.
It was a huge celebration. So after painting and all the work we did, we went out into their courtyard, and the boys just sat down and they were happy. I mean, these kids were just having a blast. This was a huge treat for them to do that. And we're milling around, and they're talking to us and asking us questions. It was pretty cool. And then this is the young lady that Betsy and I and others have been sponsored, right, Betsy?
This is Pauline. She was a student of Linda Ellis and Jody McLeod, and then later on, Mark and I. And I contacted her saying we were coming and I'd love to meet her. And she said, okay. She said she'd gotten married and was expecting a baby. She was 8 months pregnant, and she hoped to meet us there. So she joined us at the Makadara Boys Center on work day, and I had rushed to Belk, and they were having half-price baby clothes. So I stocked up and took them to her. And it was so wonderful to finally get to meet her. We had also sponsored her brother, and so it was just really nice to meet her and learn how the family was doing. And she's very appreciative.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for us, all of us, when we had that chance to connect with students who were sponsoring. Then the third thing we did was had a tree planting day, and really these were small trees, but in some cases trees that were planted to grow fruit or other things. So it was really a pretty cool opportunity. We all had that, and then they said, we're going to take you to lunch to Francis's house. And we said, okay, this will be kind of interesting. So we go there, and sure enough, this is Francis's home. He invited us in, all of us, and so here we are. And they prepared this huge spread. You can see down on the bottom left. The top left, that is an internal courtyard that's surrounded by gates and fences. So it's a secure gate, and all of these homes have private courtyards, which you can see on the top right, and there we are on the bottom right eating the meal. So it was really just very gracious of him to bring us into his home and feed us lunch. And the food was really quite good. And thank goodness for Tums, but we were able to eat. In many cases, I would ask, I'd say, now what's the meat? And they would say, well, it's like lamb. And come to find out it was goat. But they cut the goat into, you eat just about every piece of the goat. I mean, it's got gristle and bone, but it was really pretty good. And we drank bottled water, so none of us had any problems with upset stomach. So, and then on to the Eastleigh Center, which was a great opportunity. So here, again, we're meeting with the center director and the leadership team, and this was Fatima.
Yes, if you look on the center, left side is center, you see a young woman. Her name is Fatima, and she is Muslim. She is one of the children who came to the program and became a part of the program. When they first brought her in, her parents did not believe that there were people in the world who would pay for her to go to school, and they didn't understand the Christian values of giving and serving others. And so she was very touched and had to kind of explain and keep explaining to her parents, this is something that they are doing out of the goodness of their hearts.
Yeah, it's
when
legitimate.
we went into the room, we were all shaking hands with everybody. And I walked in. I'm familiar with Muslim tradition, so I knew that she would shake my hand. By the way, she was wearing a full burqa when we got there. And so I shook her hand. She shook some of the other ladies with us, their hands. And I believe it was Mark
when I went up to shake her
walked
hand,
up
she
to
crossed
shake her
arms.
hand, and she would
Yeah.
not shake his hand because in Muslim tradition, men should not touch women.
You just don't touch.
But she went on to not only be one of the scholars, but she also went on to teach, I believe it was chemistry, to the other students, and now she is in university. So she is still connected with the school, but one of those true success stories that came out of the program.
We've learned that there's a strong Muslim population in Kenya. I think it's from which countries? Somalia and Sudan, refugees in Kenya. So this was Hezborn, and it's kind of a stretch to say Betsy met him. Look at this. How tall was he, Betsy?
I think he said like 6'2", 6'3", something like
He's
that.
got to be closer to 7 feet.
Maybe, okay, 6'3", 6'4".
So
he was tall.
Great kid. He's one of the kids that we've been sponsoring for years. And again, great opportunity. So here we are out in the courtyard at Eastleigh. That's the sanctuary on the right, the computer lab on the bottom right. And then following that, we took the kids, sponsored the kids to go to Stedmac Gardens, which was a recreation day, a really fun outing to take the kids and enjoy the day.
On the left here is Susan Ngari, our social worker. Behind her is Charles, one of the elders. That's the finance guy with the presbytery. On the far right is Jane, who is the accountant on staff. In the middle, the student with sunglasses cannot hear and cannot speak, but he is part of our program, and the woman in the middle has been brought in to help him with his education, and really a beautiful thing. And Reverend George, the moderator of the presbytery, is hanging back over there in the back right.
Yeah. So really a great day, and a day for the children to have some team building experience, get outside of their sort of normal daily routine. And Stedmac Gardens is really beautiful. It's got animal, wildlife, and all kinds of other things, fun things for the children to do. Then we took the children one by one and did student interviews, which we're going to share with you a couple of those in a minute. And then they exchanged gifts with us. Very gracious to have us come. You saw some of the paintings in the back that they gave us. Each of us, of our mission team, were given gifts, and then again, some of the kids. And then on to the Giraffe Center. They're very proud of their environmental culture and the beautiful sort of forests and preserves that they have, the wildlife preserves. There's some of the giraffes in the Giraffe Center, and you're allowed to give, they give you a little cup of feed, and then you give the giraffe feed. You can see. And they did not want to touch this giraffe's tongue. They're well trained, those giraffes. They know that you're going to give them something. And then to the Kazuri Center, which it is Kazuri, right?
Yeah.
Bead factory.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to go to the Kazuri factory, where a group of Kenyan women have come together to not only make the beads, but also find the kind of economic development for their families to elevate not only their families, but also the community. And so we got a chance to see the actual process of them making the beads from the very beginning, shaping them to painting them and firing them in the kiln. And so that was a really fascinating process to watch them, and the dedication that they have, and they've been doing this for many, many years now.
This is where Reverend Will, required a lot of advice from the woman in the crew as to what sort of jewelry he should take home.
Yeah, here's Will trying to shop, buy some. Really a great opportunity, though, to support women who are given an opportunity to enhance their life. Then we took the Kenyans, again, they're very proud of their nature preserves. And of course, the Mara Wildlife Preserve. Serena Mara Wildlife Preserve is one of the best in the world, known for its preservation of wild animals, and it's in the middle of the African Rift Valley, which stretches for 3,500 miles and has probably one of the largest populations of large herbivores in the world. And so they're very proud of it. They wanted us to go and see this. And so we felt like we were, maybe taking some time off and being tourists, but they said, no, you need to go and see this. And so we did. We flew this small plane, and it landed on a dirt runway. And so, it was about an hour flight from Nairobi, but it saved us. Would have been 5 hours by Jeep. So it gave us a lot more time. This is a safari vehicle. The roof's popped up. You can stand up in the vehicle and see the animals. This is the lodge, Serena Lodge, Mara Serena Lodge, and there we are in the vehicle loading up. Here's Betsy and Will and Jack experiencing the safari. Great opportunity, and the beautiful, really beautiful animals. So yeah, you can't help but be inspired by nature. And this is not the wildebeest, the Cape buffalo, is that right? Cape buffalo, thousands of buffalo throughout. And you can see the birds and the buffalo sort of live in harmony together. Jack had a large zoom lens and was able to capture some beautiful photographs of, this is a shot of the elephant and the hyena, and you can see there are just herds of animals everywhere. I mean, it was just really fabulous. And then lions. We actually saw lions kill a wildebeest. I'm not going to show you those pictures, but it was pretty, it's the cycle of nature, right? So we saw them take down a wildebeest. And then, the hippos. So we had a great trip. And the Great Migration, which is rare to see that, it's the wildebeest that crossed the Mara River. And there's 2 million wildebeest in this entire preserve area. And they come by hundreds of thousands, and they go down this valley and cross the river. And then the crocodiles will eat some of them on the perimeter. And so the zebras try to hang out with the crocodiles so that they have the protection. But you can see the wildebeest, they're really, some say they're kind of odd-looking animals, but they're really quite beautiful with the long beard and the zebras. They do live in harmony together. And then a couple of us had a chance to do a balloon ride. It was getting close to Betsy's birthday, so this was her birthday present. So Luana and Betsy and I went up on a hot air balloon. We got up at 4 a.m. and drove out about an hour, and then took an hour balloon ride back down. It was really quite serene and beautiful. And then the last thing we did on the safari side was have what they call breakfast with the hippos. And they had guards posted with rifles so that the alligators and the hippos and the crocodiles wouldn't come and eat us, which was pretty kind of them to think of that for us. And here we are taking pictures, taking a picture with the group. And then we finished up on Sunday, the last day at church. And this was the end of their brigade Sunday. And so another great opportunity. You can see this is one of the teas on the top left. Everywhere we went, we had tea. We had some of the tea Betsy and Kathy brought in the back. But everywhere we went, they had to serve us teas. It didn't matter if it was before lunch or before breakfast, or, we always have to have tea. And you'd have all this food, and the tea was just delicious. And then we'd go eat lunch. And I was like, okay. And of course, Will and Luana did a great job preaching and singing and being called upon to do that. This is the leadership team there. And there again, we're very gracious in the Brigade Sunday. Now you'll see, again, some of the slides. This campus is constantly raising money. The building in the back is a several $1 million building. And what they do is they raise a little bit of money, they put a floor up. and then it'll just sit for a couple of years, and they put another floor up. And so it may take them 10 years to finish this building, which is really kind of strange. And they had a guard up there on the building to keep people from climbing on it because it's dangerous. I mean, you got rebar sticking out everywhere, and we're like, gosh, you couldn't do that in the United States, but that's how so buildings take a long time. And then we finished by giving them gifts, basketballs, soccer balls. Again, they were very gracious, Pastor Pauline, the rest of the team. And so we gave each of them a gift, which was very well received. And that wraps it up. So here we are heading back. So I will turn it over to Jack and Luana, who are going to share with you a couple of videos from the students.
Well, I guess it's not going to be Jack, it's just going to be Luana. So one of the things that I really wanted to share with you is that throughout all of the interviews that were done with the children, what I would summarize it by saying is that each of them were so incredibly grateful, and a lot of them used the word transformative, that this program saved them, that it made such a difference in their lives that they were able to go on to better themselves and really have a future. And so that to me was the most powerful thing of meeting all of the children and the experience, to see all of the ways that they have
Perfect. Thank you.
replacement parents, so to speak, who are stepping in and stepping up and giving them the love and support and caring that they would not otherwise get. So to me, that was the most powerful thing about this program, that it is really transforming lives and making them into the type of citizens that they want to do to contribute to society, and that was very important. The other thing that a lot of them said, because we each asked them, what they wanted to do and, what their focus was, a lot of them were focusing in math and science. A lot of them wanted to be doctors and lawyers and architects and chefs and, significant professional careers, and were really feeling that they were hopeful for their future based on the fact that they were able to participate in this program. So to me, that was very powerful. On the screen, we have 3 of the interviews that we captured. From the left, that's Juliet Kawamba. She is in Form 1, and she is sponsored by Ken Oliver. The second picture in the center is Abedingo Kivindu. He is also in Form 1, and he is sponsored by Chuck Duvall and the Wimbleys. And the little girl on the right is Deborah Mumbai, and she is also Form 1, and she is sponsored by Mary Ellen McConnell and Neil Simmons. And we can play one of the videos.
What we're going to do is click on, it's about 1.5 minutes for each. So they're a little hard to hear, but just, I think it'll be fun to hear what these children have to say.
Okay, can you tell me your name, please?
There we go.
Abednego Kiven,
Very good. What form are you in?
Form 1,
Form 1, and where's the school you're in now?
St. Peter's, Kandara, located in Moranga County.
That's a bit of a travel from here, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. And what are you liking about that school?
The school has good facilities, including sports.
Are sports one of your real interests?
Yes, I like football the most.
And your sponsor is Chuck Duvall. Do you have anything you'd like to say to Chuck?
Yes. I like to thank him for the chance he has given me. I know that the children in the street who never had this chance, but he got the time and gave me the chance to continue with my studies so that I can be a good person in the country in days to come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We're glad to have you in the program, and we're very proud of you. Thanks. Hello, can you tell me your full name, please?
Deborah Mumbo Chala.
Very good. And what form are you in, Deborah?
I'm in Form 1.
Form 1. And what's the name of your school?
I'm in Wanjigi Secondary School.
Uh-huh. And is that nearby, or is it a long way from here?
It's not quite far from here.
It isn't, okay. What subjects are you enjoying in school this year?
Physics and mathematics.
Physics and mathematics?
Yeah.
You like the sciences?
Yeah.
Yes, very good. And when you're not in school, what do you enjoy doing?
Watching football on the TV.
Uh-huh, very good. And do you have a few words you'd like to say to your sponsors?
Yeah. I want just to say to Mary Ellen that God will just bless her for doing this for me. And I pray for a long life.
Very good.
Yeah.
She'll be really happy to hear that. We're really proud of you. Thanks.
Amazing. Then we'll hear from one of the other students here.
So,
Hello, can you tell me your name, please?
So I'm Maureen Wanjohi.
And where are you in school these days?
I'm in Machakos University. In my fourth year, my last year, that is. Yeah, I'm finishing on December. I'll graduate on December this year. Yeah.
That's wonderful news. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Machakos University, she said.
What line of study have you been pursuing at university?
I am pursuing finance. Yeah, business and finance. So, yeah, I deal with finances. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I know you're busy in school, but when you're not in school, what activities do you enjoy doing?
Right now, I'm doing an attachment at the City Council of Nairobi. Yeah. So, yeah, and I like cycling. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And are there any words you'd like to say to your sponsors back in the States?
Also to John Cale and Paul, and also the Weavers, that is Kay and Jeff. Thank you so much. It's been like 8 years. I've been with you for 8 years, and thank you so much. It is a great opportunity to be with the team, to enjoy everything that you've given us for the upkeeps and everything. Thank you. Yeah.
And I know they're all very proud of you too.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
that was Maureen Wangi, and she's one of the Bahati graduates in her final year of university. From the left side, that is Florence Wangari, and she is Form 3, and she is sponsored by Jerry and Mary Anderson. And Paris Wanjiku is Form 4. She's in the center, and she's sponsored by Mark and Pam Switek.
I don't think we explained earlier, Form 1 is our equivalent of freshman year in high school. Form 2, 3, 4 are the subsequent years. So Form 4 is a senior in high school.
So I think now we open it up for questions, comments.
We wanted to take a few minutes just to get individual comments from the travelers that were on the trip. Would anyone like to talk about impressions or insights that you had from the trip?
I would just go ahead and say it was transformative. To sponsor these kids all these years and then go see them firsthand, it's pretty cool.
I would say that it was very transformative, that you're actually in awe when you go to, like, the Boys Center. When we went to the Boys Center, there's 100 boys there, and only 3 adults that are shepherding those 100 boys. So right there, you're in total awe. And you're also in awe because they're so polite. They all take care of each other because they do nurture them to be protective of the younger ones. So you have the older boys who are looking out after the younger boys. So that is very transformative. And I would also say that Kenya is a country of contrast. you can see the extreme poverty of Nairobi, but then you go out to the Masai Mara, and it's breathtaking. You realize that it's actually one of the 7 natural wonders of the world to watch the wildebeest to do their migration. They go from Kenya down to the Serengeti in Tanzania. And you look around and you see the valley and the mountains, and it's just awe-inspiring.
Thank you. Others? Luana?
Other than what I've already said, one of the things that really touched me is that I've always known what the Bahati Scholarship Program was, but to be there and to see it in action and see the results and hear the eternal gratitude that came from the children, that makes a difference. Because you can always see something on paper, you can always hear about it, but to actually see the work and to see the children and to see the results that come from the school and the everything that is being poured into those children, that's really what makes a difference. And to me, that was my biggest takeaway.
I'll just make several quick points in the interest of time. I've been on several of these trips, and the program, in my view, has never been stronger. It was very gratifying to see where the state of the leadership was at the Nairobi Central Presbytery. Very gratifying to see how bright and conversant and cheerful, joyful that the students are. It was beautiful to see. I was also struck how we really are truly changing lives and making disciples 7,000 miles away, but that is happening in a big way with the Bahati program. And I really noticed how God's hand has blessed us, the students and our partners all at the same time. We're blessed to be there. They're blessed to have some of the financial help that we can provide, and the partnership is working very well. And then how good the people are that we partner with in Nairobi. They are capable, smart, very well-meaning, very serious about their responsibilities. And what an example their faith is for us. Despite all the poverty in Nairobi, they are a joyful people. Would we be joyful in their circumstances? After the way we've lived here, maybe not. But their joy is not contingent upon their material success. Individually, I'd have to say my faith grows with every trip to Kenya. I care deeply more and more each time about all our friends that are in Kenya. It really is a true, wonderful relationship. And lastly, we give a lot to make this work. We give a lot of money, we give a lot of energy, we take some risks to make this program work. So we give a lot, but we really gain even more than we give when we go over there. It's not just a wonderful one-way trip where we give and they take. I think we gain more than the students do sometimes. Before we close, we wanted to take a moment to see how this program fits into our overall outreach ministries for the church. Pastor Elizabeth has some responsibility from a pastoral side for outreach. Ed Fennison is here. He is the chairman of the outreach committee. Ed, would you like to say a thing or two?
Just real quickly, I think we had 2 purposes tonight. One was to educate, and I sure feel a whole lot more educated than when I walked in here. And the second is to say thank you. And I'm saying thank you to you folks who made this trip and represented our church and our outreach ministry. It's wonderful that you took the time and the energy and the funds to do this, and we certainly appreciate it. This is our first mission trip since COVID, and with the political situation in the world and everything, mission trips are suffering. And my goodness, can't you see what this does for our congregation? We come back learning about people all over the world, not just how good we have it compared to them, but what's going on in the world and how we can help. And that can't help but make a church stronger to understand those kinds of things. The Bahati program is obviously a flagship program for our church, but we also do a lot of wonderful work in the Congo, in Haiti, in Nicaragua, in the Caribbean. We sponsor 2 missionaries, are parts of sponsoring 2 missionaries, and Operation Christmas Child that all the church gets involved with. They're all wonderful global outreach policies, and would love to have you join us. Thank you all very much, and thank you, folks.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ed. Let me just talk a minute about the future evolution of the Bahati program. It continues to change, it continues to get better and develop, but here are several of the things that we noticed on this trip needing some attention. One is on our side of the ocean, the sharing of the administrative responsibilities. Mary Stewart has been doing that for, I think, 10 or 12 years at this point. And from the folks that went on this trip, several of them came home saying they're willing to jump in and help share that responsibility on the ground here on Hilton Head. So thanks to everybody that's willing to do that. Secondly, there's a new positive development. I mentioned this briefly earlier. The Kenyan government that to this point has only funded school through the 8th grade, starting with the next year is going to fund schooling through the 9th grade. So that is a very positive development. It changes a little bit the way we operated because we've had folks in Form 1 through 4. Now we'll just have them in Form 2, 3, and 4. That also frees up some of our cash contributions as to how we want to spread those across the upper 3 grades, or do we want to start looking more seriously at funding some of the outstanding students for a college career or additional training after high school? And that goes, Sandy, to the question you were asking, getting them really ready for long-term sustainable employment. Also, given the high rate of unemployment, we really do need to be working more on helping with training and mentoring for all the students. Also, we did not have any youth on this trip. We have on some past trips. It would be great to have our younger folks involved. And lastly, we need to find ways to ensure sustainability for the program in a very unstable world. We delayed this trip by a year for security concerns. I think we really would have been fine going last year as well as this year. We had no security concerns here, but there are always some risks going anywhere, whether it's New York City or Nairobi. And we always need to be attentive to that and make sure that we can continue to do some good things. And as Ed mentioned, some of the places we've been in the mission field before are now very difficult for us to participate in. So those are some of the things we need to be looking at as this program continues to grow and continue. I think we're ready to close. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Pastor Elizabeth.
Thank you. I have just a little bit of scripture I'm going to read to you about generosity. Psalm 112. Praise the Lord. Blessed are those who fear the Lord, who find great delight in his commands. Their children will be mighty in the land. Their generation of the upright will be blessed. Wealth and riches are in their houses, and their righteousness endures forever. Even in darkness, light dawns for the upright, for those who are gracious and compassionate and righteous. Good will come to those who are generous and lend freely, who conduct their affairs with justice. Surely the righteous will never be shaken. They will be remembered forever. Will you pray with me? O most holy one, we are so incredibly thankful for this Bahati Scholars program. God, we are thankful for the people that have stepped up and made this happen. We are thankful for all of the energy and work and organization that allows for sponsors and students to be paired together. It is wonderful to see you at work, and it is wonderful to see our church be the hands and feet of Jesus. God, we are grateful, and we ask your blessing upon these children, that they may learn and grow and know that they are beloved. Lord, this is our prayer. May it be so. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.